Dr. Catherine Clinton, welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. We're elated to have you today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to chat. I love your book in the background, Optimize. I have a copy myself. I am loving it. It's so good. I want to share with everybody. It's going to be like everybody's Christmas gift so they can all learn quantum biology and understand why I'm always have my feet, bare feet on the grass and my face in the sun and drinking my structured water. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. I love that you like wrapped all this in a nice little bow for everybody to really understand quantum health and why it's so important to implement these very simple practices into our life, right? So beautiful. Thank you so much. And with all of the research and, the studies behind there as well for us to have because it backs it up, right, of what's really going on. So thank you for that beautiful gift that you've given the world.
Oh, thank you so much for those kind words. It was a labor of love.
Yeah, I bet. I can't imagine what it's like to write a book, but then you're so passionate about it and you love it so much that it probably, there's the challenges too, but it probably came like just through because you embody the lifestyle and you love it and you love the research and the science and all the stuff. So I'm sure it was so much fun to do as well, right?
Yeah, it definitely was fun.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that stood out to me is that it's so excuse me, it's so well documented. You have like a really hefty endnotes, or I forget the name of it. Like
Yes.
the research you have in here showing that this is not just some woo-woo stuff. This is like well documented, historically, proven information. And it's interesting because off camera you were talking about how your mom was like the science part wasn't as was she maybe she doesn't read science, but it's true for a lot of people that can be very intimidating. But Vanessa, was as I was looking over more of the fascia information, Dr. Clinton, it's like you so like gently weave it in there. It's so user friendly and it kind of reminds me just of your demeanor. It's like so gentle, soft, friendly, and inviting. That's how I experience your book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I did write it with a little I don't know what to call it, a chip on the shoulder or something, where I really wanted people to know that this is science-based because of my experience on social media and being out in the public in that eye and some of the
Mm.
pushback I get that I'm just making this all up. And it's like,
Mm.
I'm really not. And if that's what you need to adopt this understanding of how the world is more than this chemical mechanical machine and configuration, then I'm happy to give you all the science so that we can get there sooner.
Yeah. Well, there's been so much brainwashing, right, about biochemistry and all of that. So it's really hard. But it's like when you really step back and think about the principles of quantum biology, it's really connecting back to nature and connecting back to yourself, right? It's really that simple. And like living in alignment with nature's rhythms. Like it's very simple and it makes so much innate sense. Like I remember when I learned it, I was like, oh, well, this just makes sense. Like, why are we going after all these labs and these parasites and all these other things? And I'm like, oh, just connect to nature, increase your charge, increase your cellular voltage so the body can do what it needs to do and can run as efficiently as it's supposed to without having to like really just think about, oh, I gotta do all these different diets and like all these things that are just so much. There is, I mean, the amount of noise that's out there in the health space, and I can't even imagine like having such a big platform like you and hearing all that pushback. I'm sure you got a ton on social media, and it's like, oh my goodness, but there is all the science to back it up too. Like do we really need it? Like I question that. Do we really need it? Because it makes so much innate sense, but there is that science there too that's been coming to the forefront. But the problem is you're going to go to your regular doctor and they're not going to know about red light therapy or grounding or about, circadian biology and why it's so important. So it's not mainstream. So this is why when people hear about it online, they're like, oh, it's just, snake oil or it's like, they think it's some sort of nonsense. So yeah, I'm glad you have that in there so we can have that like backup, which is really great.
Yeah, yeah, no, I wanted it to be able to be presented to a doctor,
Yeah.
and say, I'm thinking of using this, and there is a lot of research on that, but it is that fine line between, do we need the research? I actually feel like we need to train our discernment, to listen to our intuition, to be able to navigate what's true, what's not. I mean, with AI, there's so much out there that's not even real, right? And so it's like this line between, yes, I want people to have the science so that we can push medicine and healthcare in a different trajectory, but also like, let's use our discernment. Let's learn how to decipher what's true and what's not, what's real and what's not. So it's an interesting time these
So,
days.
yeah, it is interesting because it's like when you mentioned the discernment, it reminds me of just all of our ancestral knowing that we have embodied but have lost connection with.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, the science is, it's almost like bringing us back to where we used to know. But okay, so now we have the cognitive knowing, but let's go back to the practicing and application of what we always have known to be true. And right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I tried to do that in the book for sure, like pay homage to this isn't the first time humans have understood the power of the sun or
Yeah.
water or energy flow in the body, right? Like it's ridiculous to be like new emerging research says,
Yeah.
because this is really where we came to with what matters in health, what it means to be healthy, just being embedded in this cosmic flow of energy. And that flow is happening all around us, that flow is happening in the body. And the more we can stand within it, the more we can help the flow in the body, the healthier we'll be. And that is not new at all. That's as old
Mhm.
as we have record of.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's not new information for sure. We've known the healing power of light. I mean, I'm not very biblical, but in the Bible it's said over and over again. And like it's everything is connected to it. And it's just like it's not new information. It just we lost that connection with all of the modernness that's come to us, right? Like, and then you're so disconnected from self, then I find, right? When you're so disconnected from nature. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like I keep saying this over and over again. Like true healing is reconnecting with self, but first you have to connect with nature, and then you'll reconnect with self. Like once you connect with nature's rhythms, then you'll start connecting with yourself and your intuition, and then real healing will actually occur. So I don't know. That's been my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what a beautiful time to remember this. What a beautiful time to return to this relationship
Yeah.
as we move more and more towards AI, towards,
Yeah.
outsourcing our health and our intuition, all of it, this movement to return back to a connection with the world around us, with the ground beneath our feet and the rising and setting of the sun. It's time for that.
It's very
Definitely. And
much needed
everything.
right now. We need that to stay grounded and to,
Yeah.
well, and especially emotionally, right, ladies? It's like there's so much potential for fear and experiencing a lot of the angst and existential panic right now with the way that things are in the world. So this is like so incredibly profound, the timing of your book and the medicine you bring. So, and the field of quantum biology is so vast. Obviously, I mean, you packed a lot in here, but there's probably even more that you could have woven into that text. And actually, by the way, I wanted to just say this before I forget. One of my favorite metaphors is the fascia is the bones of the loom, and then the fascia is the fabric. So, Vanessa and I were thinking about maybe we could talk about fascia because it's such a big topic of quantum biology. But so,
Yeah.
before we go into that, I was wondering if you could maybe just summarize for our listeners the main paradigm, the shift from more of the mechanical approach and so forth to the quantum biology approach. Like, what is the defining difference? And then maybe we can move into fascia as an example of that.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. So, with quantum biology, it's just an expansion of our understanding of how life, how the body works. The current paradigm is this chemical mechanical model where health is chemical balance, disease is chemical imbalance, which means what we ingest, whether that's pharmaceuticals or supplements or food, that is the main driver of biological action in the body. Same with the mechanical view of the body, where action has to come from mechanical touching, right? There has to be a surface to surface interaction for biological action to happen. And if there's misalignment, it leads to things like surgery. And we know that to be true. The quantum biology model of health doesn't negate that, it just expands that understanding into the realm of energy, into the realm of waves of energy and information, whether that is a spectrum of light, whether that is a frequency of sound, whether that is an oscillation from an electrical, magnetic, scalar, electromagnetic field, our thoughts and emotions. All of these things have measurable impacts on the body. And so, what a quantum biology approach to health really looks at is how do these unseen waves of energy and information interact with the body? And the body has these receivers within it, these liquid crystalline structures, our DNA, our cell membranes, our fascia, that are able
Mhm.
to take in this information and transduce it into measurable biological action. It just gives us more tools in the toolkit to address health. And we're at a time where we need all the tools we can get. You know, we are in an epidemic of chronic disease in the States for sure. And several countries around the world are experiencing this epidemic of chronic disease. It's more than half of adults have at least one chronic disease, if not more. And we're seeing the same thing in our children. It's time that we expand our understanding of how health works and thus expand ways to approach health. So, a quantum biology approach to health doesn't negate that chemical mechanical model. It just gives us a broader understanding. And, like we were talking about before recording, it actually brings us sort of full circle back to what many ancient indigenous cultures spoke of, that we exist in this tapestry of energy. And the more we can embed ourselves in this energy flow, the more we can assess the energy flow in the body, the healthier we'll be. This biochemical versus bioelectric view of the body is really the the difference between those two models, but they don't have to be one or the other, right?
Mhm.
There's a beautiful marriage that could happen and should happen.
Right. We don't have to be so rigid or dogmatic. And this is one way, and that's the only way, right? We can marry both things
Yeah.
together. I see the quantum biology as the foundation, right? Set that beautiful foundation, help the body learn how to have better voltage and energy and, better quantum communication and all the things. And then, of course, there's other things that we can layer on top, right, of that as well
Yeah.
to support our health, right? It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like people kind of think we have to be all or nothing. It's like the same thing with homeopathy and allopathy, right? They're like, oh, but if I'm using allopathy, I can't use homeopathy. I'm like, you can actually use both, like, and it's okay. Like, like
Yeah.
whatever we need to do to support you. I mean, of course, I have my views on which one is the, a more optimal way to live, but of course, we have to meet people where they're at and where, and like you said, people are, I mean, chronic diseases it's crazy. It's such an
Yeah.
epidemic right now, and it's like we need so much help. And it's like your book is more needed than you. I think and I think you do know it, but it's so needed. Like people need this information because they could feel so much better by doing something so simple. I just wanted to say I just was at St. Lucia, and the place that I went to is called the Body Holiday, and it's like it's a wellness place. So they're doing all kinds of wellness things, all Ayurvedic medicine. I mean, all Tai Chi, all kinds of wellness things. Tai Chi, great for the fascia, I'm sure. But not one person besides myself and my brother had blue blockers on at night. Like nobody knows this. Like I'm like, how are we at a wellness place and nobody knows about this besides me and my
Yeah.
brother who are wearing blue blockers? I'm like, Willie, what is going on? Like
Yeah.
it's just so interesting to me. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny being in this niche that we exist in, right?
yeah.
It's delightful, it's fun. We all speak the same language, but we can also fall under the impression that everybody does practice this and does understand it, right? And it's like, oh, no, no, no. People really don't. We have a long way to go, but it's exciting. You know, this year I spoke on Fox News, Washington, D.C., and
Oh,
CBS, New York. during the time change, both of them reached out to see if I would speak. I mean, literally, it was like 2 to 3 minutes, but
No.
during the
Right.
time change, they wanted to know about circadian rhythm and why it's important and what we should do. And it was like, okay, this is as mainstream as it gets, right? So I'm hopeful that we're making inroads into that marriage between what we currently are using in our healthcare and our understanding and a quantum biology approach to health.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
saw that you were on the networks, I was like, oh, that's so reassuring. Such a harbinger of like hopefully good things to come, about empowering people and people understanding what, like, it's the typical thing. They go to the doctor, nothing's wrong with you, the labs are fine. It's like, well, now they can have something that gives them the missing piece, which is your voltage is low. You need to have more exposure to things that are going to help charge you up. And there is actually it's not going to say something wrong, but something's out of balance, like you're deficient in energy.
Yeah.
And so,
Or light.
And
pardon?
it's not being
Or
tested.
light. Are you just deficient in
Yeah,
light?
yeah.
Some of us have I mean, I had a light deficiency for sure. I mean, I used to be pale as a ghost. Like, so not like this tan that I have now. I was
Yeah.
looked very different, 7 years ago. And it's like you have a light deficiency, and I was like allergic to the sun. And I honestly think that also is a light deficiency of why you have an allergy to the sun is you actually need the sun because you're not using it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not showing up on the labs because the labs don't test for that, right?
Mm,
There's no marker for electrical voltage in the body right now,
mm,
even mitochondrial function. I a couple years ago started the Quantum Biology Health Institute, and our first research study was heart coherence practice on mitochondrial function, and we used a blood spot mitochondrial screen, but it's really not being used very often. It's a new test, but also mitochondrial function, you have to really have a biopsy to test that. And no one's
mm,
going to do that, right? A deep
mm.
muscle biopsy to test mitochondrial function on your routine annual doctor visit. So it's something people just aren't testing. And it's doesn't even really require a test. If you
Mhm.
don't feel well, you don't have adequate voltage. And
Yeah, simple.
the interventions aren't drastic, right? So even if it turns out we misunderstood everything and it isn't about voltage, it's about something else, what we're talking about is circadian rhythm, getting our feet on the ground, having a relationship with nature, tending to our nervous system, our mitochondrial health. Those things aren't going to have the side effects of a misunderstanding in a chemical mechanical model, right? Where
Right.
we're removing something with surgery or forcing something with something that we're taking. This approach is just a beautiful return to those relationships we've had as humans forever.
hmm hmm Right. There's no harm in it. Like there's no harm. Like there's no negative side effects. And I have not met one client who I've said to go outside and be in the sun and ground and use blue blockers and say, oh, I don't need to do that. Like
Yeah.
there's no benefit to that. Like it's so not true. Like you're gonna feel something,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel some benefit. I do have some clients who are really like really sick that like they have to go slow with it,
Yeah.
right? They have to
Yeah.
go like it's like micro. It's like back when they used heliotherapy, like, okay, just put your foot in the sun. Okay,
Yeah.
now your foot and your ankle in the sun. Okay, like we have to go slow because they're so depleted that that can happen. But yeah, there's no negative, and I love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's such a ele elegant way to approach our health, simple, elegant, but really foundational. So it will move the marker, right? And that's
Yes.
a fun thing I think we have all experienced people being like, oh, this isn't going to do anything. Like, why didn't you give me the new latest thing? Why didn't you inject me or, do something to me? And it's like, well, this is gonna just let's talk in a week. Let's talk in 2 weeks
Yeah.
and then we'll see how little those interventions are, right?
Yeah.
They're huge, they're foundational.
Yeah. I mean, you could see the science on grounding. You could see the inflammation, the change on those, what are those called? Thermographs or something like that, right? So you can see the change in the inflammation. And I know I experienced it myself, dealing with chronic pain and chronic insomnia and chronic depression. Circadian biology was the first thing that changed my life. I mean, that's why I'm sitting here now talking to people about it. And that's why I say it all the time, because without it, I would still be searching for some sort of magic protocol or pill that was going to change my life. And there wasn't. I just needed to go sit in the grass and recharge and slow down and be quiet and listen to the birds. Like, so I mean, it's like
Yeah.
so simple, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it didn't change, it didn't solve everything. That's why I'm a homeopath and why I also do other things. There are other things that we can do to support us, but that was a huge needle mover. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
all right. Well, let's get into fascia. Tell us what if my somebody had no idea what fascia is, and the reason why this also came to my mind to talk about was a different experience I can say from my trip with my father, and they asked me what fascia was, and I was like, oh, people don't know what that word is. Like, so what is fascia, and yeah, what is its purpose in the body?
That's a great question and a great place to start because it's really incredible system in the body that's so overlooked. It is
Mhm.
this web of connective tissue in the body. It connects to every structure, it connects to almost every cell in the body. This connective tissue web, it's really this fabric that's pulled throughout the body. I think we talked about the analogy of the bones being a loom and the fascia being this fabric that's pulled over, creating this body wide network. And this connective tissue is made up of collagen and elastin. And collagen is incredible. It is piezoelectric, so like a quartz crystal, it creates an electrical charge when compressed or when exposed to pressure, and it creates an electrical current. And that collagen is also semiconductive. So it can hold an electrical charge, it can transmit it. So you have this fabric running throughout the body that can create an electrical current, it can transmit this electrical current. And there's a way of looking at health where pain, inflammation, symptoms, disease states are associated with a loss in negative electrical charge. Our cells run on a negative electrical charge. When we lose that, they lose their function, they lose their ability to communicate. And fascia and the water that lines it create this beautiful network throughout the body that can create and hold charge and distribute it where needed. And that's just an incredible shift in our understanding of how the body works. And fascia really, I mean, we could talk about the water within it, we can talk about its connection with nervous system, its connection with
Mm.
the immune system. It's so uh, interconnected and vital to our everyday health and longevity, really.
I just had this metaphor come up. Another one, in addition to the loom, it's like it reminds me of the mother wrapping the child in the blanket, and it's like that cocooning
Mm.
almost, right? It sends energy and love where it's needed. That's what came up for me, Dr. Clinton, as I was listening to you.
I love that. Yeah.
I agree. It's very nurturing. Its connection with the nervous system uh, is really a beautiful dance we do with our sense of safety. And I think a lot of people
Mm.
are approaching fascia from the muscle fascia connection, which is absolutely true, right? We know those myofascial trigger points, and our muscle is wrapped in fascia. Fascia is running through the middle of the muscle. So that connection is very real, and using different exercises and releases with force definitely affect that relationship. But there's another thing happening in the fascia where our fascia is intimately connected with our nervous system.
Mm.
It really is that front line of sensing in the body,
Mm,
of what's happening in our external and internal terrain. That gets communicated to the nervous system and then the brain. So it's really kind of hard to tease out, like, where does one stop and the other begin? It's this continuum of sensation where our body is at all times looking for what is the state of safety in the body. Am I safe right now?
mhm,
And that connection with the nervous system is starting to emerge. We've always kind of had that anecdotal understanding, right?
mm,
Body workers work with their clients, and there are emotional releases when they release the fascia. There's
mhm.
this idea of the body keeps score, or tissues can hold that emotion. But there's emerging research that is really pushing that to the forefront of our understanding, saying that there is this connection to tight, adhered fascia and some of the mental emotional conditions that are so common, anxiety, depression, trauma, as well
Mm.
as this ability to flow through the nervous system and the fascia. And if there's an area where that information and energy can't flow, then there's going to be a down-regulated or dysregulated nervous system. It's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
Ah,
Probably
this
ties
is
into the cell danger response and the polyvagal nervous system network and so forth. Yeah.
Oh my
Abs-
goodness. So interesting. So interesting. I never really heard that connection with the nervous system, but of course it makes so much sense because our nervous system is always, safety, not safety, safety, not safety. And a lot of things that probably support the nervous system support the fascia versus and vice versa that hinder it would be like the same vice versa. So I've never really made that correlation, but I love that about like because I always think of the fascia is like that. It's an information superhighway, right? It's sending that's how all the information is basically how we're quantum communicating, right? All our cells and tissues and everything's communicating with each other. And then I also think of like injuries, traumas, emotional things as like knots or like things like that, just like
yeah.
kind of like make knots in the fascia. And then the information, like the information in the field or in our fascia is not communicating appropriately, right? So I just, yeah, I loved everything you said, but that's was like my interpretation, and I think it's so important to help release those things. And yeah, I've
Mhm.
seen myofascial release do some really nice work, right? But there are certainly other ways. And then I was also thinking as you were talking, of course, there's the water and the hydration piece, which we could go to, but then there's also the glyphosate piece and how
Yes.
that can really, like, that's, I think to me, is probably one of the biggest hindrances to our fascia is that glyphosate. And, it's a hard thing to get away from these days, unfortunately. So, yeah, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that in practice, myself, my colleagues are seeing a lot of this triad of mast cell activation syndrome, POTS, and hypermobility.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we
I
can,
have that. Some hypermobility. Yep. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and we can make the association with the increased use of glyphosate,
Yeah.
right? Going in and replacing that glycine, but also just damaging the the collagen matrix in the body, as well as really acting as a stimulator to that IL-33 in the immune system and getting those histamine cells overactive. They're really like the alarm system of the body. They're like, something's here, right? And so glyphosate plays a role in that, as do EMFs, right?
Oh,
The
yeah.
sea
Hmm.
of non-natural EMF that we're swimming in every day without then regulating the system, right? Going outside, putting our feet in the ground, doing something to help recalibrate that charge in the body. Toxins overall, and then you add in things like post-COVID, and so we've got multiple things kind of pushing this triad, um, fascia included, right, in that hypermobility, that just really kind of point to some of the obstacles that we're facing right now in our healthcare system, in modern medicine, in the patient populations that we're seeing, because this is so common right now. I never saw this before in my
It's been
patients.
a huge increase since COVID. I mean, that's really the truth of it. And it's actually, that's probably what happened to me was after the jab I basically developed mast cell activation syndrome right after it. Like that's basically what happened. And there's a very huge correlation, and there's a big correlation between that jab and I think it was Dr. Stephen Hussey who came and said there was an ingredient in that particular jab that really diminished exclusion zone water, and that was his correlation of why mast cell got way worse. I can't remember, some sort of ethanol, but it wasn't exactly ethanol. I can't remember what it was called. He has some research on that he put together. But yeah, I mean, of course, there's many reasons, but I mean, very common. And I hear all the time in my homeopathy practice about I've never been well since that particular, we all know that particular one was really just tough and um, lots of mast cell and stuff going on after that. Huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even post-infection as well,
Yeah.
similar picture. And at the same time, it's not a one-way street, right?
No.
So we can affect that. We can support those systems. And it's
Yep.
when we have that understanding of what was the initiation for that, we can understand how to start unraveling that. How do we support the fascia? How do we avoid things with glyphosates, with toxins? How do we rid the body of some of those spike proteins? How do we mitigate from that non-natural EMF that's in our environment? And these are all doable things. All it requires is understanding. Oh, that's what's happening. Okay, so that's what I'm going to address. And so
Mhm.
so there's always hope in that picture as
Oh
well.
yeah, of course, right? Because we can always switch things off, just like we can switch them on, right? We're in epigenetics, right? It's not our destiny, right? So it's
Yeah.
really important for people to hear that. So then, speaking of that, how do we tend to our fascia?
I was just
Right?
going to ask if I may,
Oh,
Vanessa,
yeah.
just to go back to the mental emotional piece and trauma and so forth. So what is your like basic or how would you describe how those energy experiences are stored in the
Mm,
fascia? And then like Vanessa's question, how would we go about supporting a client, for example, to prepare to find a way to heal from that?
Yeah.
mm,
Well, this is where everything kind of blurs, right? Like from a quantum biology perspective, it's hard to put something in a box.
Yeah.
That's your nervous system, that's your brain, it's all this continuum. And that's what I see with the nervous system and the fascia. So is the fascia directly holding that trauma or that memory? I don't know that.
mm,
But I do know that the nervous system is certainly imprinted. And I think we can all relate to a tight muscle that we may have. I go to my shoulders and my neck because that's where I hold it, right? So
mhm,
we get body work done on it. It feels amazing. The knot is gone, and a day or two later, it's back. Why? I didn't exercise that part. In fact, I tried really hard to keep that smooth release in my tissue, but my nervous system was still holding that pattern of stress. And
right.
so it immediately goes back into the tissue. And so I think that addressing both is really where it comes down to. And I think that a lot of things that we do for the nervous system, we don't realize really are coming from this perspective of quantum biology, right? So we can
Mm,
look at different herbs, we can look at different practices, but treating or tending to our mitochondrial function really gives us the capacity
right.
to address what's being held in the nervous system, whatever that might be. The deadline, the boss that's mean, the conflict with our partner, the conflict with our family, whatever it may be that is causing our nervous system to be, I mean, I really hate to use the word dysregulated because it's not dysregulated. It's
It's doing what it needs to do. Yes, it's
yeah,
regulating.
yeah,
It's doing its
absolutely.
job to keep you safe, is what it's
Yeah,
really doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We need a
So
better term.
yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely need a better term because the nervous system is just responding. It's just doing what it needs to be doing, like you said. And if we don't have energy to address that,
Right.
then that pattern is going to stick, right? And we see that with things like depression and anxiety, where that, 10 years ago, solely a chemical scenario, right? There's a chemical imbalance. We're going to address serotonin. We're going to address those serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors, and that will handle it. Well, that was only a small piece, right? And very helpful for some people and not helpful at all for other people. And why would that be? Well, we have to look at the mitochondria. We have to look at the energy capacity in the body. Is there energy to let those patterns unravel? Or are they being held because there's a lack of energy to complete that process in the body? And so when it comes to the nervous system and emotions and fascia, it's all of it together, right? So a lot of the fascia releases that I do have gone from force to it's almost like holding, right? Because I know if I go in there and I use force, and there are many different approaches to this, they're all wonderful and helpful. And also, what's been really great in my practice and the community that I work with, we've moved away from that force as the dominant thing, and we've come into this understanding of just awareness, just a firm touch sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
holding that, where we say something like I am safe or I am
Yeah.
worthy or whatever it may be. There's always that kernel of that subconscious train of thought that's informing the nervous system. And doing something like that can be just as powerful as force. And again, it's that chemical mechanical model versus more of the energetic quantum biology model. That muscle fascia relationship exists
Mhm.
absolutely, and those therapies and interventions address that, and that's great. There's also this other piece to the fascia that should be addressed, and that's great. And it's not black or white. It's a marriage of the two, right?
Right.
I mean, like both and.
No
Yes.
way. Yeah.
We're only
Yeah.
using physical because I did myofascial release as a client. It's very intense sometimes what I
Yep.
experience. So I see what you're saying, Dr. Clinton. So what about the energetic layers and how can we invite and create space for something to emerge or to effect change with more of a subtle energetic input versus something a little more not aggressive but mechanical like you're saying. Yeah, is that what you're getting at? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And I think that, I've done lots of myofascial release, and if there's not safety there,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Nothing's
doesn't
going to,
hold.
yeah. No.
Nothing's going to flow and nothing's going to shift, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so having both of them is really important. And I think that right now, I mean, that triad that we just talked about with mast cell activation and POTS and hypermobility, that's is speaking to the nervous system not feeling safe. And we can
Hmm.
talk about that in the rise of autoimmune conditions. I mean, you guys just throw one out at me and I'll turn it into a nervous system situation, because really at the core, there is this dysregulation with the nervous system, or there is the nervous system constantly protecting us
Right.
from these states that are sometimes our train of thought, right?
Oh yeah, the train of thought can be huge. That can be a huge one. Like, so when you say the nervous system protecting us, yes, that of course, absolutely. So my understanding is that the nervous system is the cell danger response is like the reason why, right? Do you buy into this? The cell danger response is the reason why, so that it's not really completing the health cycle, right? It just keeps getting stuck, right? And it can't fully go the circle. But the load is why, right? So the toxic load is higher than the voltage, right? So we need to switch it where the toxic load is less and the voltage is more, right? So that's my understanding. And then so when that's actually just creating more safety, and then when we create that more safety, things can balance and the nervous system doesn't have to be as hypervigilant. Is that, are we on the same
Yep.
page with that? Does that make sense? Okay.
Absolutely. And we
Okay.
could like really expand on what's that toxic load. Like we talked about glyphosate and EMF and
Yeah.
toxins. We could talk about trauma,
Yep.
all forms of trauma, right? When I
Mhm.
approach trauma, it's what the body can't process, right? We're not judging like, well, that wasn't a very big trauma.
No.
It's just
Oh,
anything that there's no capacity to hold in the system. We could
yeah.
talk about food. And so, really, it's like, what are the inputs of danger and what are the inputs of safety? And can
Yeah.
we decrease that list of those danger inputs? And can we increase the list of safety inputs? And that's the beautiful
Mhm.
thing, I think, about a quantum biology approach to health is, my patients leave with like, oh, okay, I've got to do this thing in the morning and I've got to turn down the lights and I got to have some relationship with nature. And it's like this chore list, but I sort of like cackle as they leave because I know that that is an invitation for them to return to these relationships of safety. That's how I was. And now I feel a deep sense of belonging when I see the sunrise in the morning.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel held and safe with the ground beneath my feet. There are these beautiful relationships around us that don't have the friction that sometimes occurs in our human relationships, right? These
Yeah.
these relationships of unconditional love and safety and belonging that exist around us. And those are signals. Those are cellular signals that we are safe. We are where we have evolved with over millennia. We are a human in this world, right? And so I think that that's one of the powerful things about a quantum biology approach to health as well, just that sense of safety.
Oh, yeah, it's huge for the nervous system. I don't think people make that correlation about how much living in rhythm with nature and using blue blockers and turning off the lights and turning off your Wi-Fi and stepping your feet in the grass and being outside in the sun, how much that impacts your nervous system because it's just all those safety signals, right? That you are held and you are nourished. And I mean, it's huge. It's huge. Eating breakfast, right? And not skipping it. It's just another one. Like, like these are big, right? Especially as women, right? Don't fast all through, to lunch, have your breakfast right after seeing sunrise and give your body that nourishment that, yeah, you're safe. It's okay. Everything is all right. Even
Yeah.
listening to the birds, chat and just orienting and watching. Every morning I get up and I sit outside and I just look around and just oh, there's the trees have more leaves on it now, and the squirrel's going up over here, and all those birds over there, and there's the woodpecker. Like you're just seeing all, and there's the bunnies are out now. Like you just watch all of that is so much safety to the nervous system. It's like we underestimate that, and we're like looking for the regulation tools, and we're like, there it is. It's like right outside your door. Right.
Yes.
So empowering for clients too, because in the mental health world, it's really sad because it's always going to the quick fix, right? And that's the protocols. It's going to Medival, we're going to put you on an SSRI. But unfortunately, people really like that and they want that because it's so easy.
Yeah.
But I think it's just really disempowering in a sense because, I mean, if that's what they really want, then I want them to pursue that, of course. But I always try to introduce the quantum biology practices. But I think it's going to be a while before people are more receptive because they don't. That's why I want to start recommending your book to everybody because I've just been sending, pieces of articles and different YouTubes and that kind of thing. But I'm like, here, just read this book so that they can understand that they have so much agency and that
Yeah.
it's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's the low
Right.
voltage, and there's not enough safety inputs from being able to be exposed to those frequencies that their body is craving that's leading them to feel like there's something wrong with them, so to speak.
It's
Yeah.
beautifully said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's no wonder that we have such a huge proportion of everyone's nervous system dealing with all of this. I mean, you turn on the news, like how are we supposed to walk through our daily life feeling
Yeah.
safe? And we just have really divorced that energetic perspective of the body. And truly, I mean, like mitochondrial function, cellular voltage. Like a lot of the words I use have such an interesting, like energy and frequency. It's like, oh, there she goes. And it's like, no, I'm talking about mitochondrial function. I'm talking about cell
Right.
voltage. I'm talking about whether the fascia can conduct. I'm talking about that aspect of energy, even though the other aspects of energy, I believe, are still there in the biofield and some of these things that are a little one step out of maybe the mitochondrial perspective. But
Mhm,
it
mhm.
all is just such a beautiful understanding of, oh, that's why I didn't get better. I mean, I remember in school, vagal toning exercises were in. And so people would come and I laugh, but it was not funny. But people would come in having gargled and humming and doing all these things to regulate their nervous system. It's like, oh, geez, that's not gonna work. All these tools are addressing a system that is doing its best to maintain that protection, right? Like it's not going to let down its guard because you're gargling. It it's not that you have poor vagal tone because your body is broken. Your body's responding appropriately to your perception of the world and your energetic capacity. And so we can work with those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, trauma preparation for whatever kind of trauma modality people are going to undertake would be, in my perfect world, they are going to increase all those safety inputs of sunlight and earthing and all the things so that their cellular voltage goes up, so then they have the capacity to experience whatever it is their body needs to do to release, to shift, right, of the energetically from the held trauma information. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, that marriage, right? Like we live in such a black and white world, and that really actually isn't the world. And so coming to a marriage of those things would be so beautiful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Would be. I'm curious because you brought up autoimmune diseases. So I'm curious, like what are your thoughts? Because I'm not really sure I buy into the whole I don't buy into the whole the body's attacking itself, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. Um
Yeah.
and how you view it, what's really going on there.
Thanks for asking because I love to talk about this. I was in my second year of naturopathic medical school, and I was diagnosed with two autoimmune conditions and Lyme disease, having multiple panic attacks. It was just really this unraveling of my
Mm.
health. And I was
Mm.
actually in the hospital being slated for surgery, and I was just like, I can't do this. I called my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, I said,
Mm.
I'm leaving. Meet me outside the hospital. And I did that not because I was brave or knew what would happen. I was so scared. But there's this thing that happens before we know something. There's this feeling, this intuition, this understanding that comes before knowing. And that's where I was. I was like, the my body isn't broken and I don't want you to remove some of it. I This isn't right. And if you go on, like you said, if you Google autoimmune, the definition is your body's attacking itself. But again, from my perspective, and other people have this perspective, thank goodness. Uh, the body isn't broken; it's responding to danger signals.
Yes.
So whether that is uh, an infection that was never addressed, trauma, toxins, that huge umbrella of food, water, air, EMF, just down the line, all the toxins, so many
Mm.
different things out there. Can be that danger signal that tells the body to overreact. And I talk about this in the book, actually, in the chapter about the microbiome and the immune system. When our cells in the immune system lose their electrical voltage, they lose their ability to communicate. And when certain cells do this in the immune system, they start to drive a hyperreactive immune response. Another name for that would be an autoimmune reaction.
Yeah.
So that loss of, all these cells being like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm doing this. They're all working together as this collective. That loss of electrical charge causes some of the cells in the immune system to really start yelling like, okay, we have to have this hyper reactive immune reaction. On top of that, those T regulatory cells, those cells in the immune system that go through, they put out inflammatory fires, they decrease inflammation across the board in the body. They lose
Mm.
their function when they lose their electrical charge. So, not
Mm.
only is it this danger safety, that's paired directly with a loss in electrical voltage of the cell. So that fits perfectly with what we talk about and the way we approach the body from a quantum biology perspective is how do we not only work in tandem with those obvious danger and safety signals, but how do we address the electrical capacity in the body so the immune system can regain its function, can regain what those cells were meant to do. And I mean, we can argue that's exactly what they're meant to do when they lose that charge, right? But we want to give them that charge back so that they're not doing that anymore. And myself and so many of my patients are able to do this, are able to I think somebody working in this field would say they're just in remission, right? There's
Mm.
no
Mhm.
cure for such a thing, but whatever you call it, they aren't living with those symptoms. They are living in health and vitality now by addressing those things. And so, this idea that your body is broken is one of the most powerful spells that we have in medicine. I
And
mean,
we
just,
say this to patients, and
yeah.
then it becomes them. They become the disease. They become unbroken. They become my body's attacking itself. My body's fighting against itself. Like, no, like you need to like throw all of that out the window. Like I can't stand all that. It like irks me so much because it's the exact opposite of what we want to tell our body. We want to tell our body it's safe and it's doing the best it can and it's supporting me in the way that it can. And the symptoms are not the enemy. They are here for protection, right? So I loved everything you said.
Well, absolutely. I mean, think if we're talking about danger signals, that's got to be one of the primary ones. Your
Yeah.
body isn't safe.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
That's
Yeah, all the
powerful.
programming and conditioning just really exacerbates the problem and
Yeah.
the fear that people feel, and then we're waging war against our body's healing responses, and it's really a lot. But I mean, what I'm hearing you say is that it's a gentle invitation, right, to really partner with nature and partner with your body and be able to
Mm.
find a starting place of incorporating whatever practices are comfortable for someone, and whether it's the glasses or just, whatever it is, going outside. And the word's getting out there. I mean, thank goodness, it's definitely there's a what do we call that, right? There's a collective
A
moment.
resurge or surge.
Yeah, it's a compounding exponentially the news. So that's the good thing. But one thing, I know we're getting towards the end here, Dr. Clinton, I would like to know about all of your offerings. I know you have many, or maybe you've condensed them into school and book, but you still see patients, I'm hearing. But tell us what it is how you actually are serving right now, your community.
Yeah. Yeah, my practice is closed to new patients. So I see some of my old patients. I usually am like arm twisted into a special uncle or a best friend that needs to be seen. So
Mhm.
I don't see it's not open to patients right now, but it's still there. And I've really moved my focus on education. So I have through the Quantum Biology Health Institute, we do research. That's one arm of the institute, and the other arm is practitioner training, and that's just a beautiful community. And then I also have a community, just a monthly community where we gather, we embody this. It's a little, um, well, it's a lot less scientific and rigorous, and just a little bit more about embodying this work. And that's I speak and travel and try my best to get this word out there, because I think right now is really a beautiful time where we have the tools and the research to really back this up and really be able to move our approach in medicine in a better trajectory. So that's really what I'm focusing on. And all of this can be found at my website. It's drcatherineclinton.com. You can find all the retailers for Optimize. It's at every major book retailer. But if you go to drcatherineclinton.com/optimize, there's a place to find all those retailers and to put in your information for a free workbook that goes along with the book. So,
Oh, nice. I didn't know about
yeah.
that.
I
Yeah,
must
cool.
get that as soon as possible.
Yeah, on my to-do list.
How cool. That's so
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you for that offering. And I was just going to mention to our listeners, your community, I read all about it. Sounds incredible. And that's all about safety inputs. So your community is a place where people can come together collectively to process, to talk about what it is you're helping them learn about and to practice and embody. So that's probably a place where there's all kinds of safety if people want to start off there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've gone from being like this talking head, like here's my course and you get the recording and we'll do a live Q&A type of thing, to just really being present with people, because it's so powerful what happens in a
Yeah.
group. I've been I've been told that for a long time, but I haven't experienced that. But in the last couple of years, it's just been so incredible. I mean, the practitioner course, they were like plotting and scheming, how do we stay together? And I was like, we're just doing lifetime access. Like, we're not going to
Mm.
stop. Like, you guys, this is such a beautiful thing that we have. This is what the
Mm.
world needs. So it's been really profound to the people involved, but to myself personally, to see
Mm.
how potent a group can be.
I did think
Mm.
groups are incredible. We're sorely lacking that because we used to have so much more community just in our day to day. And I think it's just a really, really sorely lacking. And so thank you so much for doing that. I think groups are really where the future lies as far as in reclaiming our humanity and maintaining our humanity in the face of all the things like AI and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. And
Yeah.
that's
And it's
what,
just so, okay.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's so supportive to be with people who are struggling with the same things that you're struggling with, because we get to this space where like, oh, we're the only one who struggles with this, and that's not true. So just being in that group of people who are on the same path is so helpful, right? To be like, oh, I'm not the only one, and this, so it's, it brings some normalcy to it for you, so you can feel less alone and less isolated. And then a lot of like sometimes, and I noticed it to myself too, when you start doing all these like quantum practices, you are different than other people. Like I said, I'm the only one here at this wellness center, this wellness vacation, me and my brother with blue blockers, right? So you do feel a little different. So it's nice to have know that there are other people out there who are all like, because we are meant, like we're lent to be like, well, we want to be similar to people. That's just natural. Like we want to be doing what the herd is doing. So I think that having that group and that community to be like, oh, these my friend so and so, she's Sally, she's doing it too. Like we're doing it together. Like it's so helpful.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely. And
Mhm.
and it's such a kaleidoscope, right? You get such
Yeah.
beautiful inputs from
Mhm.
people and such
Yeah.
beautiful support, People post something and all these people come into the comments, and it's like, wow, this is beautiful. You guys are this is it is just really poignant to see how willing people are to share their support, their love, uh, and the camaraderie is just I really have been humbled by it, because it
Yeah.
isn't wasn't what I was expecting, and I've kind of put it off. People have been asking for it, and it was like, nope, here's a recording. And so it's
Well,
been,
it's a whole different way of showing up, right? But it's so invigorating and enlivening, and all just so much goodness comes from that. So,
yeah.
Dr. Clinton, I know you're already doing and have been doing amazing, extraordinary things. And I always like to ask people, like, what's in your future? What do you envision for yourself? I mean, not that you already have a ton, you can just coast on that beautifully. Are there still things that you're like, oh, I want to do this?
After seeing what it's like. So this has been online, right? The practitioner course, the community, those are both online. And this last couple of weeks, I've been traveling, and it started off with a book tour event. And I again was so humbled by what
Mhm.
happens in a group, especially in
Mhm.
person.
Hmm.
So I think that's something I really want to explore, is being able to get together in person. Um, it was it was incredible. I was not expecting in a 5-hour event to have people report such amazing feedback, to
Mm.
create, their own little thread or group where they're all in contact. And just
Oh,
it was just
that's great.
really beautiful and outside of myself, right? Those things are happening. I'm not um, sprinkling magic dust. That's just the power of these beautiful people coming together and being beautiful and being real.
Mm.
Authenticity and vulnerability. I mean, the it's great to have the virtual. I mean, that's kind of a quantum way of being.
Yeah.
However, what I've experienced myself is my most profound and helpful healing moments were in a group setting in the fleshy flesh, as my mentor says. So I'm really excited to learn more and hear more about when you do this, because I think that the most safe we can feel is in person, in community. And there's something about being witnessed and held that way that is absolutely, it's so profound.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And
Totally agree.
just, I'm kind of a weirdo. Like, I live outside of a small town. I live on some property. My sister was making fun of me the other day, like, you could go days without talking to anyone but your family. And it's like, yeah,
Sounds good.
I could actually. And so it was really surprising to see how powerful it was to be together as a group. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to explore what that might look like.
Ooh, that could be exciting stuff coming up. We'll see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I'll be
Yeah.
watching for that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, well, this has been so amazing. We thank you so much for your time. You just are such a nice, calm, beautiful soul with like just so much wisdom, and yeah, I just love it. And when you were talking before about the autoimmune diseases, it's like the same supports that all disease is the same. Like that was my thought. Like all disease is one and the same. It doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter what you label it. It's all about increasing safety and voltage. And
Yeah.
that is the name of the game when it comes to every single disease that we are dealing with. So it's like we don't need these labels. We don't need these like it's this or it doesn't really matter. Like that, none of that matters to me. So anyway, I just thought that was such a beautiful thing, and I just love this conversation so much, and we're just so grateful for you and the work that you're doing in the world. So thank you, thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Dr. Clinton. Thank
Mm.
you.
Thank you both for doing what you do. It takes all of us, right? And I'm so glad to be doing this with you guys. So thank you for
Oh,
having me.
yeah, anytime. You're always welcome.